I missed Ole last week, Ole missed me. Well, I was kind of here last week, of sorts. So, like a little conversation. Salute to Megan Sylvester. Thank you very much. We get a little holdover. I being honest with Ole, I was confused with this reopening of school and thing. I was in a nice little Easter mode and Easter weekend, and then school reopen. All the week get catch off guard, so I didn't record. So, the issue when that happened is get 2 weeks of material to cover. So, I don't have to start with, I see people raiding Catholic Church and mashing up the place. Now, I have a few things to talk about the Catholic Church, beyond that. Beyond people running in the church in Belmont. I ain't know if to talk about the opposition and who's spying and who lying. I ain't so sure. We will definitely talk about Trinidad Madman. Should I talk about Trinidad? My problem with Trinidad Madman is I can't play no clips of the performance and I can't play Trinidad Madman new song. I would just give you a little idea where you're coming from, right? The man say, but listen, it is a remix of Guantanamera, right? If you ever hear Guantanamera, Juanita Guantanamera, and this is remind me how young people is in this country because the comments under this Guantanamera song or his version of Guantanamera. People on the comments basically saying, oh God, this rhythm a little catchy, boy. This little melody catchy. I'm thinking, well, it must be catchy because it's something you don't know already. But just to get a little, before we were getting deeper into it later in the episode, I can't say deeper into it now, later in the episode. Just as a prelude, the man say he had a girl bathing by him, and when he walk in the thing and he open the door, remember it's one to the mirror, right? So he see something in the mirror. I see in the mirror. I ain't playing it, but we were getting to it. We had to get into all it. But welcome to episode 90. I'm sure we at about 94, 95. Let me say 95, right? To be safe. Welcome to episode 95 of the Corey Shabbat podcast. Of course, you can find us on any of your podcasting platforms. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube. Like, share, and comment if you enjoy the content. Let me know how it's going and if you're enjoying it, right? So, I'm picking up right where I leave off last week, because beyond the shock of school opening, I was coming here last week to talk about a man who was turning 100 years. The great Lord Kitchener, 100 years of his birth celebrated last week. And I see they had a nice big celebration for him in Arima and everything, and his son come and sing. And listen, when you young Kitch, sing them Kitchener songs, he have a vibe, And maybe I'll do something unique in it. Usually when I dedicate an episode to artists and I'm playing a lot of songs from the artists, I try to play not too much of the very popular ones, I like to stay off the beaten track and play some of my favorites. Sometimes my favorites is the popular ones too. But I always like to lose only in some songs that I feel nobody in know and nobody in here, right? But I had a salute to my mother in the early part of this episode here, because she promoted a song this week and I guarantee I had to play it. The first time I ever hear it, and Holly will tell me if Holly hear it or not. But with everything that happened today, in the midst of what's supposed to be dry season, what is they say? April showers bring baby showers. What is April showers bring May flowers? What is? All of a sudden today is heavy rain and the ODPM coming and talk about flood and which river burst any bank something, and of course it bring me right back to the great Lord Kitchener. Yes.
Pan beating whole night in the dry river.
Yes.
We all hearing, but can't see this orchestra. Pan beating whole night in the dry river. Darling, we all hearing, but can't see this orchestra. Well, another thing confusing the whole public. You could only hear the band when rain fall. We had to believe it's mystery or sheer magic. Why it is we can't see this band at all? Until it starts to rain, buckets are dropped in the heart of water Spain.
Sing!
Don't bring the big umbrella, make me celebrate the weather, to see this mystery band in the river.
river from all over the country. They flocked the dry river just for curiosity. It was ridiculous the way how they all argue. They were vociferous with all different point of view.
Yes.
Some say the music sung like the late 40s. Some say it sung like a band from space. But however it sung, every man was pleased, for it surely had we shaking we waist. And so it started to rain. Buckets are dropped in the heart of Porter's Plain.
People bring the big umbrella. Ladies like to brave the weather to see this mystery man in the river.
They flood, bringing down a set of debris.
The raining, you hear the music in the woods. Something like a rare symphony. We hear it fine, but can't see the fire coming down. River coming down, water coming
Ding
down.
dong dang li ping dong li li ding dong dong li dong dong dang.
Coming down, river coming down, water coming
Billy
down,
bitty bitty billy bitty billy bitty billy billy dong dang.
coming down, river coming down, water coming
Ba-dum
down.
ting, ba-dum tang, ba-dum ting, ba-dum tang, dong. When they found out after the truth of the mystery band, it
Yes.
was a great laughter with every man and woman. They started all giggling. The joke caught them so abrupt. They couldn't stop laughing to see how they get full up. Get the joke. Milton coming down in the flood water with all kind of old bottle and old can. A ting-a-ling-a-ling, they're bouncing up each other, and they mistaking it for a steel band.
And so it started to rain.
Buckets are dropped in the heart of Porter's Plain.
People bring the big umbrella.
Thinking they could brave the weather to hear the mystery man in the river. Listen, the great one, when you could put together a song like that. And I have them songs in a little bit of a era. When he do B's melody, Toko Band, River coming down, just taking his simplest ideas and turning them into not just great songs, but great pan songs and some of them panorama winning songs. So we had to always celebrate the 100 years of the great Lord Kitchener. And I leaving off, or picking back up right where I left off. To request, I saw his son come out with an article last week as well, talking about the 100th birthday or the 100th anniversary of the birth of the Lord Kitchener, and come in and say, let we do the right thing, as I said in the Wired article the other day. Let we do the right thing and give the man the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what could possibly stop you from giving a man like this the Order of the Republic. Now, it's a unique thing I always like to talk about with Kitchener, right? When you look at panorama over the years, from 1963 to 2020, 2021 was the last panorama. It's not a panorama this year. Let me count this year too. 2022 to 1963, or 1963 to 2022. That's 59 panorama, right? It's at 59 panorama in the history of pan. I want you to appreciate something here. Kitchener, or his songs, right, with several different bands. His songs was in the top 3. 46 of them 59 times. I don't know what, because I ain't going back and read that thing, but we read together, all of us learned together right on this podcast, what is the criteria for earning yourself an Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And if steel pan is the highest or the pinnacle of what you could do for what is the national instrument that we boast so much of being the only musical invention in the how much of a century, they like to talk about that, and we are the land of steel band calypso. They put steel band first. If that is the case, the man who composed these songs and who sing these songs and write these songs that win, or it was in the top 3, 46 out of the 59 times they had the competition. That is absolute dominance. So I'm trying to understand if he doesn't qualify for the order the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago based on that alone, what it will take for him to qualify. Outside of the top 3, right? The man come first. Let me make sure I have the numbers right here. My maths ain't so great. The man come first 17 times. Had the winning song, right? I will give some of the names of some of these songs. Mama This Is Mass, 67 record, The Bull, Margie, Play Mass, St. Thomas Gale, Rama, we know. We ever play Rama on this? Yeah, I think we played that a long time ago. Jericho tribute to Winston Spree, Pan in Harmony, Crawford, Pan Explosion, Sweet Pan, Pan Night and Day, Iron Man, Mystery Band, and the Guitar Pan. Listen, I ain't taking anything away from the greats like the Clive Bradleys, the Jit Samaru, the people who would have done the arrangements. So the band, I ain't taking nothing away from the bands, the Cavaliers, the Harmonites, the Desperados, Renegades, and nothing away from them. But if the man who, in the genre that we play pan music from, Calypso, right? Calypso, Kaiso, Soca, whatever you want to call it. If the man who dominated that 46 of the 59 times, his songs placing in the top 3, call it judges, this and whatever, he wins 17 times. What again only what the man to do? I think the man who win the singer who have the closest among the panorama to him, still in single digits, and the man on 17. So I want to appeal again. I don't know who's do this. If it's the Ministry of Culture, if it's the Office of the President, we calling again collectively. For it to issue, do the right thing now. And issue this man the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, being one of the greatest Calypsonians of all time. I'll tell you this as well. When I'm looking for songs to play, no knock on no other artists, right? I could only play about 4 or 5 songs in an episode. I think the episode where I played the most songs was an episode dedicated to Winsford Devines. And he just had rails. I was just trying to show the breadth of his catalog. But let me tell you something. You see, it's a 3 men, right? When you have to play them men songs for an episode, you have a problem narrowing it down. And them 3 men is Kitchener, Shadow, and Sparrow. I will get into the issues of the day, but you know, we had to talk some Calypso, right? That's what we're here for. We're here for Kaiso. So when you're trying to narrow down the songs of these 3 men, I feel each one of them have about 1,000 songs. It's like every time you feel you get a grasp of these songs, you come in and you bounce up a song you never hear. And coming out of Easter, my mother put me on a Kitchener song that I never hear in my life. And I want to start it because I was really confused, and I think I get catch in shock, to be honest, when when school started back. I went through this Easter holiday, and only correct me if I'm wrong, right? I thought when we were in school in our days, the Easter Monday was always in the 2 weeks holidays. I never went back. I don't remember ever going back out to school on the Easter Tuesday. You know what I mean? I always thought that the Easter weekend, the long weekend, is one that's kind of in the middle of the vacation. So that's the second weekend in your vacation. And somehow I get catch completely off guard with this school coming back. I remember I tell Ole I wasn't sending this man back to school. Because that means I had to drive down south every day. And that driving down south every day is a problem. So I had a nice Easter weekend. My mother and them come down here and breeze on a good Friday. It make the Friday extra good. My mother and your Lois. We had a good time. We had Easter breakfast. We had Easter brunch. But you know, we trying to make our own traditions. You know, it's a funny thing when you get so accustomed being in your parents' house over the years, right? When you check it out, right? I want you to check back from it since you leave your parents' house. If you reach the age yet where you spend more time in your own place than in your parents' house. You know, some of us might have stay living home till when do they leave home? 15, 16. I know some only fast, you know, in these streets, so they move fast. But if you leave your parents' house, I must leave my mother's house at about 25. So I still in a state where I spend more years living with my mother than I spend living on my own. And I was just thinking about that the other day because you get so used to the traditions in the household. Like I get accustomed to what Easter is look like on 17 Anderson Street, my place. And it's always hot cross buns. You know what I mean? It's fry bacon, saltfish. We used to fry saltfish. I don't know if anybody else used to do that, like pieces, like a steak of saltfish. You used to fry and you eat out your fry bake. Yeah, your hot crust buns. Yeah, heavy provision and stewed on saltfish. So it was such a tradition. And now it's a weird space to be in where me and Stacey and Zachary know, because this is his time. And one of the things that's funny is that the things that we just trying to figure out or just end up doing or become routine here, those things will become the traditions that he grew up with and sees those things as things that he had to carry on. And this is just, and it's so strange. And when you look at our household and how it comes together, is the traditions we have now for Easter or for any special occasion is really an amalgamation of what was happening in my household and what was happening in Stacy's household, and we bring and we piece that together and we make our own tradition. I just find that was an interesting thing, and just having my mother here was nice for Easter because of that, because it starts to be now a merger between the things that we accustomed doing, and Lois too would have been with us on Anderson Street growing up over the years, and the things that we used to do and the things that we're doing now. It's just a little interesting thing having her here. And of course, she's an avid listener to the podcast. She don't miss an episode. I appreciate that. But she asked me on Good Friday, she say, ever hear Kitchener Easter song? And I think to myself, I feel at this point, it's another Kitchener that I never hear. I have some good calypso men who I can tell about Kitchener where I feel nobody never hear. My father is one of them. I always play a little song and he say, boy, first time I heard that, he used to play music in Kitchener tent. But she put me on to this Easter song, and I want to share this song with Oli because it's nice bad. Take this in.
If you want a wonderful Easter, here is an island no place can better. If you want a wonderful Easter, here is an island no place can better. It's situated south of America, and it's on the border of Venezuela. An opportunity you never had. I introduce you to the island of Trinidad. Everybody, Easter, Easter in Trinidad. Super. To beat it is really hard. It is fascinating and entertaining. Everybody knows to spend an Easter in the land of the calypso.
Yes.
As the sun rises in the morning, holiday makers set for their outing. You have thousands of different dances, large excursions down to the beaches, and the gorgeous dresses the ladies wear with their Easter bonnets to beautify their hair. They look so adorable, a scenery that is unforgettable. Everybody, Easter, Easter in Trinidad. Super. To beat it is really hard. It is fascinating and entertaining. Everybody knows to spend an Easter in the land of the calypso. When your glorious evening is all done, you can book a week at the Hilton, where you would meet the cream of the country, including the doctor and family. The smell of fragrant will keep you cool, and the beautiful open-air swimming pool. These are luxuries that can be had when you spend an Easter in Trinidad. So marvelous, Easter, Easter in Trinidad. Super. To beat it is really hard. It is fascinating and entertaining. Everybody knows to spend an Easter in the land of the calypso.
Hey, you know what I'm grateful for? I must start to talk about every episode things we're grateful for. We must start a little tradition here. The people who, not just the artists and them, the men who sit down and record these songs, because some of these songs, when I play them, I can't tell you what year this song would have been, but the freshness and the way this song is sung still and so crisp, and whoever translated to digital and all them things, because half the songs I play, I try my best to play it from Apple Music, right? I don't like to play from YouTube too much because I don't like to hear this is Caribbean vibe. I hate when who's Caribbean vibe that them could just put a thing over the people music. So I play most of it from Apple Music. And when you hear these songs, how crispy this song is, something else. Right? Easter in Trinidad. I learned one. Thank you, mommy, for that. Now, I had to tell Oli about my issues with school starting back, because I tell Oli, like, I can't catch myself. I sleeping heavy in the night, snoring hard, I dreaming thing, I waking up. Because I only studying 1 hour, I had to get up to be able to reach down the road. So, you see that Easter Tuesday morning, when it was time to carry this man to school, I decided, what? It's 8:30 school starting, and they do this awkward thing. I was talking to Naldo from the 868 podcast as well. Salute to Naldo and Jude from over on the 868. Or no, it's not 868, it's Alternative Perspective Podcast. 868 Alternative Perspective Podcast. And we were talking about just school reopening and some of the issues with it. And I find, I don't know, boy. I don't know if we plan things out or, we have so much committees and so much ministries and so much ocracies. And I'm not sure what exactly is be going on, because they say schools open no matter what, there's no online option, right? We talked about that last time. And they went ahead full steam ahead. And Naldo was telling me in his school, his child, the teacher or the school call and tell them they need a meeting with all the people in the school. Now, I didn't know this at this point, but Stacey and them said they did the same thing with boys' school. Me to be involved. The mother had to see about them saying, but she said it was on a Zoom call. But Naldo and them own was in person. So you're sending messages saying COVID is a serious problem and this and that and the gathering. And you have the children locked in the class whole day. They cannot leave during break time. They can't leave during lunchtime. And they spend the whole day sitting in the classroom. That's a travesty for young children. And they had to have this mask on whole day, which is difficult for me to do as an adult, much less for a little child to do in school whole day. But with all that being said, you're having a huge gathering of all the parents in his school. I didn't get to talk to him after to find out how that went, but I find it was such a strange thing. So when I tell Stacey, I say, well, girl, at least they're doing it online and it makes sense. She said, no, it didn't really make sense because they do it for all the parents, but the Zoom call could only accommodate 100 people. That is well thought out. And I ain't blaming the teachers or the principals. I think the teachers and the principals doing the best with what they have. Is the organization, because if you had to do these things on Zoom, and let me slow down. If you had to do these things on Zoom, nobody could make sure that the schools or the ministry or somebody have a premium account. I mean, they could have asked the parents if somebody had a premium account and thing, so that you could do it for a little longer than 40 minutes and you could have more than 100 people on the call. I would think that this is basic stuff, but if a principal had to go and fight up with that now, why they must have to try to figure out how to do this thing? If you creating the platforms to get things done, and COVID is such a serious matter, how two schools could be doing it so differently, number one, because there seems to be no clear way of how school opening back. The thing is, Olia had to go back because money had to make, as far as I'm concerned, right? So I decided we're going to leave about 7 o'clock and school starting 8:30, right? But apparently with all these schools, because Naldo told me about this and I didn't even know till I talked to Stacey and found out that it's the same for Zachary, where they're saying that you cannot come in the school before 8 o'clock. So school starting 8:30. You can't go in or enter the compound before 8. So it either mean you sit down there with your child before 8 and then you let them out the car at 8. Or you leave them there and they sit down and stand up on the pavement, I hope with security or something, or at least, you know what I mean? And I think to myself, if so much of them stand up on the pavement, it's not the same congregation that you're trying to avoid, but it's okay, it makes sense, right? What happened to parents? And I hear everybody asking this. If you're supposed to go to work for 7 o'clock, for 7:30, for 8 o'clock, what's supposed to happen? Because the average thing was we're going to work for 8. So you try and drop them train about 8:30. I can tell you for me, I used to go to school regularly because my mother used to work for 8 o'clock. But when she was working for 8, she wanted to reach to work about 3:30, 4 o'clock, So she used to drop into school 2, 3 o'clock every morning. I used to stand up in the belfry. If anybody know Newton Boys, between Newton Boys and Newton Girls, I think it's St. Patrick's Church is the name of the church. I drive by there the other day, You know what you must do? I don't want to stray too far, because we don't have time in this episode, but you see the places, like the buildings and the spaces you went through as a child. I read this in a book from Charlemagne the God called Black Privilege. Is Black Privilege is the name of the book? I think it's Black Privilege. And he was talking about him being from South Carolina and going back to South Carolina every now and again and sitting down in the old house where he grew up and stuff. And he was talking about how it is re-energize yourself when you do those things. I believe that. I ain't too superstitious. I don't need to mash up no church and all these things. I ain't so far. But I find that going back to your hometown makes a difference to your level of energy. So I go by my partner named Ronald and Trim every week. Well, kind of every week. And just passing through St. James and walking on some of the old blocks and some of the old houses we used to live in. It's give you a kind of regeneration. So the other day I was driving down Newtown. What is called the road at Newtown again? Marval Road. And the gate for the St. Patrick's Church was open, so I drive through there and I watch that little belfry and think, boy, listen, you must always appreciate how far you come in life, just and appreciate as well that you ain't bound to be here, you know. So when you make it here, you must celebrate that. But anyway, when I used to go there from 2, 3 in the morning, and sometimes I reach too early. When I say 2, 3, I mean about 7:30, right? And sometimes the school they open me at all the children know to go by the belfry. And then when you reach securities, come and they open the gate, there a little side gate, and we go in the building and thing. And you chill there until school starts. So they have people who's end up in there very early. I will say as well that I want to commend the teachers. But you see, teachers, teachers is one of the most underrated thing it have, and underappreciated, because teachers make a big difference in my life. And maybe I'll do an episode that's centered around teachers. Maybe now I'm married a teacher too, you know what I mean? I want to make a difference in a teacher's life because all the teachers who make a difference in my life, you know what I mean? But teachers make such a difference in life in terms of what they tell you and how they encourage you. They have some teachers that just speak life into you. I'll talk a little bit about that later in the episode, because they have a Viola Davis documentary or Oprah conversation with Viola Davis that was moving to me, and you have to watch it. You know, I tell you about little must-watch things on Netflix. You had to watch that Viola Davis. But anyway, when I get there early, I going in early. So I think to myself, well, if you're like my mother and working from 8, what are you supposed to do? Because the push seems to be to go back to the old normal, the normal, where everybody had to be in work for a certain time, regardless of what the circumstances are, if you need to be in the office to do the job at all. And then schools reopen, but you can't go in before 8, and it's a weird thing. So thank you to the teachers in the school and boys' school, because I can tell you, and I just stop saying boys' school too, apparently it's boys RC. So San Fernando apparently have San Fernando government boys, or there's San Fernando people that help me, you know. And so boys RC on the promenade itself. And gratefully, so far, he's dropped Zachary before 8 every morning, and they have no fuss letting him in. And his teacher, I think her name is Miss Graham. Salute Miss Graham. Miss Graham has been there very early in the morning, and she told the boys, listen, you could walk with a book to read and so on. So Zachary's going to hopefully read a book while he's there. But that first morning, that Easter Tuesday, was brutal. For anybody who carried her into school, it was rough. And I could tell you, nowhere was more rough than San Fernando now, because if you know that Harris Promenade, there's convent on one side, St. Gabriel's right across the street from there, and then boys' school right across the street from that, and presentation right up the hill around the corner. Boy, listen, that promenade was craziness. On top of that, of course, you know, we like FaceTime as a country, so it's heavy police presence Tuesday morning. Heavy reporters waiting outside, you know, there to take a little picture of mommy and who bring child to school and all these things, and interview a little child to ask him how he's going back. And of course, the great Regrello, the mayor of San Fernando, is well present on directing traffic to, you know, the mayor. It's about FaceTime, you know. The man present the 8 o'clock in the morning telling people come and who to go and who hurry up, move your car. I said, boy, listen, we like FaceTime and we like show, yes. But I decided that instead of going my normal route where we used to drop Zachary to school every morning, when I see the lineup of traffic to turn back by Old Tech, or UTT, for those of you who know born, when you see the line of traffic coming all the way up the shoulder, I say, nah, boy, upon ways quick. And I still have Waze carry me somewhere. Well, boy, I will never do that again. Because Waze send me to Dr. Gasparillo. Make some big wrongs up in the back of somewhere with me and know. I see in sign mark to go Princess Tong and thing. I say, but where is that? I tell Zachary, I say, but like, you change schools because we're in trouble. When I come back across, we cross over the highway, lower down, quite down by, I didn't even know which part I come out. Like Marabella side. All the way back through the market, and Waze only have me turning left, right, through one set of little back streets and thing. No, in fairness, when Waze tell you go reach 8 o'clock, you're reaching 8 o'clock. Yeah, is accurate. But that's too much of driving, boy, to save, 5-10 minutes traffic, if that. So I'm done with the ways thing. And I tried my best now to leave home a little earlier. If I could leave home anytime before 8, if I leave home, 7. If I leave home about 5 to 7, he's still reaching to school about 8 and I could reach at a reasonable time. But I sleepy from waking up every morning. I couldn't record last week, I was in a whole mess trying to just catch myself. And I also had to figure out how I record in this podcast now, because a lot of times I record, remember this started during COVID. So I record Monday morning or Monday night or whenever during the day, Monday, the VAP stick, man. I find it good enough. I have something to talk about that's good at. And now I work all day on a Monday. I wonder if I could carry all this in work. I wonder if they could vex with me if I come and talk for 2 hours on the job. I know. Maybe that's a go. But we will figure it out. But I will say, as we're talking about work, right? I don't know if I am the only person who now gone back to the office for the first time or if only experiencing this. I had to be in the office now between when I drop him and when I pick him up at about 3 o'clock. I will admit that while I was vexed about this idea that we're going back rather than maintaining some kind of virtual work and online work, and the idea of having to leave home every day was bothering me and I didn't want to do it. I will admit that the productivity when you go in the office where they have no Netflix and none of the comforts of home, the productivity little higher, boy. Again, to meet with people, are responding to things on time. Again, actual work done. If I had to do proposals, if I had to do some plans for the company and things, I find like again some work done, and the feel of being back in the office, it's real helpful. I'll say as well that the feel of being in a routine, I think I prefer this rather than your home and it has no real structure, no real routine, unless you're real rigid with yourself, which for me, it lasts about 2 weeks when COVID first started. When COVID started in about 2019, it lasts about 2 weeks of rigidity and exercise and get up and do it. In no time at all, I done 10 pounds heavier in this COVID. So what my plan is now, when I drop Zachary, I could go in the gym, go in the office, get some work done. You know what I mean? That little routine helping me a lot. What not helping is this new gas price. I don't know if Oli had a chance to fill up the tank yet, but I want to spare a moment for me, with the understanding that I'm leaving from Chaguanas to San Fernando every day. And while I'm in San Fernando, I probably have driving around to do if I had to do work from the road and so on. This is a blow. I like all the tables and things that comparing the price of what we pay for gas in Trinidad versus Jamaica and all them things nice, right? I'll say I live in Jamaica and I know what it is when gas price rising. What we paying here is a joke compared to what I was paying in Jamaica. Jamaica, you just had to close your eye and pay for your gas. You can't worry about it too much. To the point where I'm not sure if the price of gas here affects what type of vehicle you buy. Maybe it does, for some people. But people tend to want to buy the car that the most expensive car they could afford and the car that they like. But in Jamaica, you're gonna be real careful about them gas guzzlers and because it could get very expensive. Also, the Tiger Marts and the Chevron gas stations, they have a few different brands, but they set their own price. It's not like if they have one standard price across the board per liter, like how the government's involved in setting the price. Well, through subsidies here. And also involved in what the gas station owners could earn and all that kind of thing. It's not like that over there. It's free market. So different gas station brands have different prices. I'm telling you, when you're there, you pay attention to which gas station you're going by. You cannot play the fool and go by the most expensive gas station, and it's price competitive. And, we as people like competition when it driving the price down. You know what I mean? Everybody had to be competitive. Like when B-Mobile and Digicel clash up the first time, phone get to be $50. Phone all free now. But we're real uncomfortable with the removal of the subsidy. And I too, because I don't know about Oli. I don't know how it's impacting Oli and how much it changed. But I went and filled my tank the other day and it went down to E, as my cars tend to do. And it usually used to take me a little more than 200 to fill it. Let me say 220 if I'm on fumes, right? But when I went to the gas station, I don't have in my mind that gas price raise or none of that. I just go on and I swipe my card and I start to pump gas. And I was so confused when I see it passing 220, 230. That thing went all the way up to nearly 80. And I was like, what? And then I realized, wait, now, the price really, this is a little bit of a shock. So I know people feeling it, and I don't know what's all the experience out there. I know some of you all have some very, my car is only take red nozzle. I don't touch that white nozzle. But for all you who's white nozzlers, how are they making out? A spare and a thought for you too is rough, but just remember how far to drive, right? And I'm wondering if it will affect our choice of vehicle, if it will affect our choice of commute, how much driving we're really gonna do. So I was looking up hybrid because Stacy car is a hybrid car. And that car, I could tell you that a hybrid car really is burning a lot less gas than my car is a regular gas car. And I find it's a big difference. I don't know if it's mine over matter because Stacy car was about the same to full as my car. Yeah, just about two something. But it doesn't burn that amount of gas. So I guess a hybrid is run on battery sometimes and fuel when it need to, and it have a system that is decide when it's running on what, right? But I say, well, the next time I'm in the market for a car, it's better I start looking at electric vehicles as an option. Because if we had to not just face the increased price of gas at the pump, but also we had to be aware that there's still I believe that all these subsidies on gas still have not been removed, and also government controls still have not been removed in terms of pricing. When we reach the point where all subsidies have been removed and we're paying the real price of gas, and then the government does not control what somebody could charge for gas and make it based on demand and supply, we're gonna pay a way higher gas price. Time to move to Guyana. We're gonna pay a way higher gas price, and I'm wondering what people plan is, because I for one don't think subsidizing things like this is a good idea. I honestly don't. I kind of like the idea of demand and supply deciding who gets what. And if the government had to intervene, the government must intervene only for those who can't afford. A subsidy across the board does not help. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we talk about tertiary education, right? A subsidy across the board don't help nothing. But I started looking into some electric vehicles. But I started to get a little frightened because on our website here called Smart Energy, right? And it seemed to be their vehicle salespeople. You know what I mean? They're selling cars. I was looking at HSM, and HSM bringing in some vehicles, and I was trying to get onto them to find out about their prices, because I saw they bringing a Tesla Model 3. They bring a Audi, they bring a Benz, but I ain't reached Audi and Benz yet. I ain't up there yet. So I didn't even want to hear about the price. I just want to find out about the price for the sake of the podcast. But I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the affordable, quote unquote, electric car if we had to switch all the way electric. One of the things I didn't understand clearly is if I buy electric car now and save gas, will I end up spending that same amount charging the battery because my light bill now going up? I find my light bill done high already. With my light bill going up because of that. Is that fair trade-off? Is that good trade? And hearing more and more people talking about retrofitting their house for solar and them kind of thing. As a man, I don't know nothing. I mean, too handsy, you know. So when you see it come to systems like that, I had to get somebody. If I have to do that, I had to pay somebody to come here and do all that. I just want it finished. I don't even want to be home when they're doing it. But I went and looked at some of the prices of electric cars on this Smart Energy website. So a Tesla Model 3. You could Google some of these cars so you're seeing what they're looking like. Let me start with Nissan, right? A Nissan Leaf is starting at $295,845. That is for the standard. Apparently, it have a mid-range and a long range. The long range is as high as $354,000. I just want to let you know, right, that at $350,000, you could probably get a small Benz. You could probably start to get a GLA. Or some kind of BMW have a 1 Series. At $350,000, you could probably reach up there, right? Definitely, you could get any one of them. CRV, Tucson, Mazda. See, once you reach up to $350,000, that's where it is. And I want you to appreciate that a Leaf is a very small car, like a long time hatchback. It want to be a little bigger than a March, but it's 300 and something thousand. So, right? The thing about it is the long range versus the standard. I was hearing Mikhail from HSM talking about how long you could get on one charge on a standard car. I think he was talking about the Tesla. You're not gonna now drive that. The range of these cars, we're not gonna kill that battery in one day in Trinidad at any point in time. Nissan also have another one called a Aria. Standard is 380. So this one starts in 380. It going as high as 513. So now, when you reach 500, they started to talk about Q5 and these things, right? That's where you're reaching that $500,000 for electric car. Tesla Model 3 starting at 360,000. Now, the Model 3 should be your entry-level Tesla, if you could say something like that. These things are real expensive. Tesla have our next one, Premium X, $922,000. Salute to the Premium X. So if we want to save money and gas, then this is the route we go in. We have a journey to travel. And when you reach 900 and thing, now you're in Prado land, and you're just short a Land Rover. You could probably still reach. You're probably getting a Land Rover there, and you're in Porsche territory. That's $1 million for a car. And even like Mazda have a MX-30. Now I think Mazda selling some of these, and I'm not sure which one of these the dealers bringing in yet. I seen one called a Honda E. It's just like a March, a Nissan March, and it's $321,000. Average 137 miles. I suppose that means on a full charge. This is expensive. Yeah, you wanna get some Audi up in here? Come with $500,000 for the e-tron. Or $650 for the e-tron SUV. You wanna get some Lexus up in here? Walk with a $500 for a UX300. Benz $659. So I telling myself, well, one way to save money on this gas price and not have to pay damn near $300 a week. I'm going to be filling at least once a week, probably twice if I'm making this run every day. This is my first full week going at it, right? So I'll let you know how it goes next week. But if I had a full twice a week, that's $600 a week. So in gas in a 5-week month, that's at $3,000. It's starting to get a little real. So I say, well, hey, electric is the way to go, but I'm not sure because these electric vehicles looking real expensive. Some of these cars are smaller cars. And when you buy an electric car, even though the car looking small, it's have more space inside because they get rid of the spontaneous combustion engine. I don't know what the hell them thing is. But is it more spacious or anything like that? I'm hoping that it don't mean that you have to buy a big car to fit in when you have size and them kind of thing. But that is where we are. That is how my week was. I hope all you're doing well with this reopening of schools and all you figure out how to navigate these mean streets. The Monday of this week didn't help with all this rain and flooding and them things. So I hope everybody good and the children settled back in. Some of them children looking forward to going. A man was supposed to come here and talk about his experience going back to school and all, but he doing his own thing. So maybe next week he'll come and talk about it. But I was just wondering, as I went back to an article I saw 6 months ago, right, where the headline said, Trinidad launches exclusive ministry for digital transformation. This is by Narayan Amachi. I hope I have that right. I'm sure I have it wrong though. Trinidad and Tobago has launched an exclusive ministry for digital transformation, arming it with $280 million in funding, US $41 million. The ministry will use the funds to boost the nation's ICT infrastructure and establish internet centers and nooks at all corners of the country. These centers are designed to enable people to access government services online, in addition to providing digital training to young graduates as part of the boosting of the country's tech talent pool. Now, when I read that, it sounds a lot like what TT Connect say what it was doing, but they say, quote, is not like the original TT Connect centers. Now you can get training there, you can access services there, you can go to use devices there. So it's a very different model, apparently reported by the Trinidad News. They're quoting Digital Transformation Minister Hassel Bacchus. Who is Hassel Bacchus? This is the first time. This is from Trinidad. I don't know this name at all. But if we have a ministry for digital transformation, right? This is my difficulty. What they for? Because the traffic is ridiculous. On days when they have heavy rain and flood, you're either in a situation where, number one, getting to school and getting the train to school will be a problem and you're going to reach late or not reach at all. Or picking up the train from school going to be a problem. These are not new problems, you know. I remember when I was now going to buy in Central, people say, God, you're going down Central don't flood. And I'm thinking now it's Diego Martin and Marval and them is the places who are flooding. You know what I mean? But when the rain like that, or worse yet, currently break the banks and them things, is problems to move people to and from school. As far as I'm concerned, that's going to kill productivity both in the school environment and in the work environment. Nothing I talk about here not new. Everything I talk about here is pretty obvious. Add to that I already seeing COVID being reported in schools, right? There are several schools. It started off with an article, this is a couple days ago. in the Guardian from Radica de Silva, right? Said 7 children have tested positive for COVID-19 at 2 primary schools in South Trinidad. Despite this, Minister of Education Dr. Nyan Gadsby Dolly is ensuring that the principals are dealing with it in collaboration with the Education District Health Unit. Okay. However, the parents of pupils attending the school are questioning why they were not officially informed and why the schools have not yet been sanitized thoroughly. I find that those are fair questions. Now, granted, we've seen and we had the experience now to see that with little children who are healthy, without any comorbidities or without any issues, there's likely to have a easy go at COVID, right? I'm saying that right? You know what I mean? They will be fine. It's not gonna be life threatening or anything like that or too severe. But I want to say that there are children with comorbidities and with issues who would be at extreme risk if they get a virus like COVID, right? Also, the children going home to a household who might have people with comorbidities and so on. So I don't understand how we went from this extremely hypersensitive environment where you had to this and you had to report and every day we had to come and say who get it and we had to tell you what comorbidities and 40 people in Cuba and we have bed in the stadium. We gone from that state of hypersensitivity to just open back everything and let the chips fall where they may, to the point where a child could get COVID in my school, in my son's school, and nobody notify me officially. Nobody says anything. This is April we in, and I just had COVID in January. The ministry or the what do you call the place? The RHA. They call me to tell me when I had COVID and all this kind of thing, and they send me an email to tell me when my quarantine done. So all the things that we had, they dismantled because, again, the parents saying that they were not officially informed. Not officially informed mean this. Rumors spreading and nobody knows it's true and nobody knows which child and which class and all those things, and they say in the school not sanitized thoroughly. Guardian Media was informed that on Thursday, 2 infant students at the Dayanand Memorial Vedic School developed symptoms while at the school in Penal. A source said they were isolated, but the school was never closed. The majority of parents were unaware of the development, however, and continued to send their children to school. Sounds like more people getting exposed to me and going to spread, from my experience. We want to know why the rest of the school was not informed and why this school was not sanitized. We've been keeping our children safe for 2 years, and now that we send them back, this is what happened. That source said. The person right. A parent said rather than allow other children in the school, the officials should have immediately sanitized the compound. Meanwhile, similar concerns were raised at San Fernando Ashja Primary School after Standard 4 pupils fell sick. One of the things I was hearing from the teachers one of the teachers in one of these schools, I believe, or another school who would have gotten a COVID case after this, was that it's very, very difficult for infant children to keep on their mask, and they're trying their best. And I mean, come on, we knew it would be why are we pretending like if we don't know nothing? This could not be surprising to anybody. And there's the thing with the ministries, I wonder if teachers would have been telling the ministry this, parents would have been saying this through whatever forum, whether they are parents and a podcaster like me, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, where they could still say that on Twitter. I know you're going to be able to say on Twitter again. Maybe I could say everything on Twitter. But everybody was concerned that I was concerned about all children and their ability to keep on a mask whole day. But Zachary is 9, he in standard 3, and they're doing well. And at least from what I see in boys' school, the bigger children, they're doing okay. They have on their mask even when school done. And they can't come out during break and they can't come out during lunch. But after school, they could congregate, you know what I mean? To get their parents car when they come to pick them up. So odd, but the bigger boys doing a decent job, at least in Sandu boys. But infants, they're going to talk to each other. They're going to share juice. I hear one say, they switching mask because one like Batman and the next one like Superman, them switch mask. But I think we all knew that this was going to happen. So this is where my difficulty was. I'm not sure that the ministry had a clear or at least communicated a clear idea to the parents as a stakeholder. What is going to happen if somebody in your school or somebody in your child class come and get COVID? You know what I mean? Is it that we shut down for a day and we sanitize and we send them back? Is it that we notify all the parents so that you could make a decision as to what to do with your child who, as this person said, I kept them safe for 2 years. I make sure I monitor them home here. I make sure they're home right through. They ain't going out and thing. Maybe it's a sick grandmother is the reason I was doing that. So I make sure they're good. But apparently we back here. So it makes me wonder, like, what is the real role of this digital ministry? Because I not, especially with my experience going back out to work and feeling how productive it is to be in office. Maybe that's just because of my age and my condition. And I'm not saying this is across the board or for younger people might see this different. But I'm just trying to think, like, wouldn't it have made sense to keep some of the things in place so that when you have an outbreak like this, because I suspect that the fear is they can't shut down the school for next week because they try education, right? But this is why hybrid systems so important. So you shut down when you need to shut down, at least even if it's that classroom, if you're saying they're not interacting with each other. Let that teacher do the lessons from online and let the children follow. And then after a week or two, when everything died down and we see who cases are not, who would have got positive or negative or whatever it might be, you come back out to school then. Is there any testing for the other children in the classroom, or we just going to take it for granted that they're going to be okay and they're going to live? And yeah, a taxi man say this in the beginning of this thing on an interview in TV6 or one of them, and everybody was vexing. He say, well, we had to come back out. We had to live like normal. Who is to dead, go dead. You remember that? And the man turned out to be right in the end. It's like, dude, what? This couldn't be the plan. So I'm not saying that it's all online. I was talking to my father about that today, and he was saying, you know, the whole idea, like the world going into this space of only digitization and what we go do with all the buildings. You remember that in the beginning of COVID? I think humans still need a certain amount of interaction. I realize I certainly do, and a certain amount of changes of spaces as well. You know, the staying home here every day was not productive for me at all. So now that changing space, you know, sometimes even when restaurants was open, I would leave home on Sundays. Stacey always said, "Wax me, we're going with you," and just go Starbucks to get some work done. You know, changing of the environment is help. But I would think that if you have a ministry with a budget like the kind of budgets they're talking about here, it can't be just to put internet chat room, what is called them again? Internet cafes in different areas so people could get access. I would think that a big part of it is digital transformation and making it a hybrid. Again, simple systems that would have gone online where you could have emailed somebody something. All of a sudden, people start to want back hard copy. Little by little, we're going back right where we were before. But this is the country we love. You see me, I really come here to play some kid song in honor of the man. You know? So I want to play one of my other favorite kitchen affair before we get into my guy, McDonald Jacob. And this response to this unfortunate killing of this policeman. But we had to talk about that. But first, let me take in this from Kitch. Yes?
Audrey, you were moving nice. You won't take the doc advice. You know I'm suffering with the flu. The doctor tell you what you have to do. I know you telling me you don't agree
With what the doctor tell you to give me.
Give me the thing with the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Yeah, you know it's important.
Give me the thing with the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Why you act so reluctant?
Give me the thing with the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Yeah, you know my condition.
Give me the thing with the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
And I need your attention. the girl I want to know why you have me suffering so. Can't you see that I am very sick and really want to get better quick? Now will you stop your fooling about and throw the medicine down inside me mouth?
Give me the thing when the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Girl, you know that I want it.
Give me the thing when the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Can't you give me a little bit?
Give me the thing when the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Why you hiding the medicine?
Give me the thing when the doctor order me. Give me the thing.
Or we give me the reason?
But that had to be one of his best, right? That had to be one of the top ones, right? That song. And you know, one thing I like about Kitchener, before I go into my boy McDonald Jacob, this was a simple guy, you know, when it comes to lyrics. When you listen to his lyrics, the man don't waste a word in a song, you know, it's the simplest lyric. Audrey, why you moving so? You know what I mean? Oh, Audrey, you moving nice, I make my own song. You wouldn't take the doc advice. You know what's suffering with the flu. The doctor tell you what you got to do. This is just nice. And whoever arranged them songs, I suppose, is Ed Watson. Should I say? I guess that is Ed Watson. And them things is in the 80s and songing so fresh up to today. So salute. 100 years. Again, give the man the order Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, McDonald Jacob might be deserving of a certain order to it, but serious matters. Let me read from the news there. Let me just shoot from the hip, so to speak. No pun intended. From the Commissioner of Police, this is from Ria Chaitram. Police will not be distracted in search for shooting suspect. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob said the person who was willing to turn himself in and assist the investigation of the murder of PC Clarence Jerks should make contact with the nearest police station or use one of the many other mechanisms for surrender. Now, before I get into that, if you didn't know about this, there was a police officer, Clarence Jerks, who would have been shot in the line of duty and died last week. I want to say condolences to his family, and this is something that you never want to hear, right? Against the backdrop of how much crime we've been hearing about for the year. You don't and murder in particular since the beginning of the year, since they started free up late last year, the crime has been, the murder rate is ridiculous. Is a scary thing. You don't want to hear anything like this, like a policeman gets shot, and we had to spend more time thanking our police officers for the brave work that they do to keep us safe on a day-to-day. It's imperfect, but you find that the police will respond and the police make themselves present and so on. And then we hear about this story. Now, word on the ground. And when I say on the ground, on Twitter and what's online on Instagram, when you see things post, you must read little comments when you see these stories post, because apparently they said it's have a policeman up there who they might say is he who shoot Jerks, and that's all Jerks said, and they say something wrong with he up there because he shoots himself and he told the last time with your own gun and went under the radar and was never reported. But people in is Rich Plain or River Estate, somewhere down inside of Diego Martin, this happened. You know, this is from La Puerta. But it's somewhere up on that side it happened. And it's the response to this that I'm interested in. I'm sorry to hear that, and I mean, I can't imagine how his family feeling and all that. And the rumor of your own colleague killing you versus somebody, McDonald Jacob. So when he's talking about not being distracted, he's saying he not concerned with what people say about how the man dead and is a colleague. I heard him in an interview come out and flat say, this is murder. Now keep in mind that a man still innocent before proven guilty. They're calling the name of this. Well, they ain't call the name of the person yet, but they identifying one person who they're interested in, to the point where they're telling the person, come and surrender. So that's how sure they are of who the person is. And they're saying, come in and surrender. But I just want to keep in context that when the last story that was in a national uproar, a man get hold for the killing and kidnapping of Andrea Barrett and end up dead because he fall off a police chair, the highest chair in history, in the Guinness Book of Records for the highest chair. Taller than the Twin Towers, and he fall off of that and died. So if you had to turn yourself in, especially given the response to this situation, I would be very worried. But McDonald say turn yourself in, come with your lawyers or whatever you have to do, and they go sort it out, right? But I just want to take a little clip from something that was on the Newsday to hear McDonald Jacobs talk about this. Take this in from me, right?
current status as to this operation happening?
Well, presently we have about 80 officers who are on this exercise, combing the hills of Rich Plain from Rich Plain straight across over the hills to Chagaramas, together with the Defense Force in search of the assailants who committed this dastardly act. The police service is in fact in mourning and condolences to the officer family, but we are looking forward to see how fast it's possible that we...
No. I cut it off there, right? He went on his 10 minutes interview. You could find it on the Newsday Facebook page or on the Instagram or anything is there. And he went on to say, of course, condolences to the family, but you hear how sure he is that is our assailant. So he's not taking on any talk from anybody that his man, colleague, shoot him or anything like that. He said that they went into the area about reports of high-powered weaponry, and high-powered weaponry was fired at them. But I just wait to hear what he said. He said 80 police officers, along with the Defense Force, combing the hills of Rich Plain, all the way over to wherever he says Chagarama side, to find. And I believe that is the right thing to do, because you see, the idea that police could be shot at or shot is a dangerous thing, and you cannot, we can't afford to have a state where people ain't respecting the police, people doing whatever they want. But let me tell you something, you see respect? If respect is not a two-way street, you're going to have a problem. And I just want to go through some quick stats that I found on the TTPS website. And let me tell you something. If you go up on TTPS website, they have a good reporting system. I had to take back everything I say about McDonald Jacob. Because I used to say, like, he's a stats man and they had his stats thing together. But it's all the stats he talking about available to the public as well. So you could just go on TTPS if you want to find out how much robberies, how much things solved, all of it there on the site. Easy drop down and thing, and you could get graphs. It's well done if you ask me. But I went and checked on that, right? And I remember just last week, and I heard Blaze talking about it. Blaze, as a man on the radio, is not very serious. Blaze like he will talk. Blaze like to laugh with Shirley and and all the rest who is called. Blaze like he little kicks. Blaze is far. Remember when Blaze and JW was together? Well, as a radio show, right? Pause. JW was a serious man, and when Blazing come out and JW be there by himself, he used to be serious. So JW find his rightful place. He gonna be one of the greats in terms of morning TV and thing in his own time. But Blaze is a man just like to get kicks. But I hear Blaze early in the week, if it was last week I believe, coming out and saying almost directly to McDonald Jacob, number one, you have an article in the paper talking about you are concerned about the number of murders in the country, and Blaze rightfully say, listen, we don't want to hear that from you, you know. You have to be more than concerned already. You can't make a statement now coming about you're concerned about the number of killings. You are the man who have the job to do something about it. You are part of what would be defense against situations like these. And one of the defense against situations like these when they're running wild is to catch people and bring them to justice as fast as possible, which I don't know if you feel that happening, but I don't find that happening at all. You don't hear about these things. If it's a very high-profile case, you tend to find that it's find people and throw them off a chair fast. But I want to go through some numbers that they have on the site here. October last year, 58 people get killed. November, 69 was the murder. January, 52. All the other months in between there is an average of about 36, 37. All months. I want you to appreciate that when you're averaging 36, 37, that is more than one person a day getting killed in this country. Every month. Right? We went through 2 years of every day posting how much people had comorbidities and how much people think and how much people dead from COVID. But we seem to be seeing a murder pandemic and we ain't taking this on at all. So I was glad somebody of Blaze stature with the platform that he have, being the first voice here in the morning on an urban station like that, was able to speak up about that. Because you can't be coming out saying that you're concerned 1 week and then the next week when an officer get killed, all of a sudden boots on the ground. There's the same thing I was saying a couple of weeks ago. He in Gary uniform. You remember the camouflage uniform? That's what he have on. Like he find one a Gary uniform and he find himself at the scene where what that little clip I played for you just now was at where they're searching for the people. So it's like when one of your boys gone, the response is all out. But when it's 58 by 69 by 52, you don't seem to be available to be on the ground at all. You don't seem, you make statements and things, yes, which I like. I mean, at least you're busy in the press and things, but Maybe it's just me, but I don't see it there, the scene and none of these things. And this is where Gary was beating people in. Even if it's just the okey doke, or just the look, or just the fact that you want to be prime minister, so you're rushing for any FaceTime or camera time, whatever they was accusing him of. I could tell you that if he was in power, and I hear Blaze talk about it too, if he was still commissioner of police, he would have been responding to these things in a different kind of way. When you have a month with 69, it's at 30 days in a month. You know? So there are 2 people every day, 2 people plus every single day getting killed. I know that Gary's a man would be, if it's 2 people a day, he on 2 crime scene a day. If Ian Allen could do it, McDonald Jacob could do it. Because Ian Allen don't miss a crime scene, he don't miss a murder. If it's a 2 murder, he buy both miraculously. And interviewing people to the point where I see a clip the other day with Ian Allen running down somebody with his firearm with the police on the bus route, it look like. So he's telling me Ian could be there all the time, who's just a man for sure. Salute to Ian Allen, because Ian Allen was, I didn't take that in. I was supposed to watch it before I record and I forget. Ian Allen was with Penny on Point. And listen, he's a character. When Ian Allen being interviewed, he even more funny than when he on his own show, because like he in showman mode. But even if it's for show, or to be prime minister later on, so you want the FaceTime, I could guarantee you that Gary would have been present for these things in his own uniform. He would not have borrowed nothing from McDonald Jacob neither, and he'd have been there. So when you see how, this kind of response, it's and I don't want to mix up what I'm saying. I want to be clear that this should be the response if a police officer is shot. And you should try to bring whoever to justice as fast as possible. I don't think as the police you should close the case so fast to say like you know who it is and you're sure who's the assailant. And then we seeing people going by mosque and walking in boots, and then there's an apology and we will respect all religions when the PCA get involved. All those things had to be done, and not the most part of course, right? But all the response is the response. But what we want to see is a better response than I am concerned when the numbers is 50, well, it is 58 by 69 by 52. That is worrying. I think that it's like any fool could see, like a child could see that when you all have, when it concerns you, or it concerns yours, the response is so swift, and you're sure who do it, and you're gonna bring him to justice, and you want him come and surrender and everything, and you're, more importantly, you're present. You there with your officers on the ground in your army suit and all these things. Defense force get involved. So my people is not nobody too. Me and morning, I not paying taxes in a country where I want to be safe and don't have to worry about this happening and that happening. Or if God forbid something happen, which should be the odd occasion you have something like a murder. I don't want to see people brought to justice and have some kind of response that I don't know, boy. This new commissioner, he doesn't do a whole lot to inspire confidence in me. And maybe I like the maybe it's just me who like the show, the okie-doke with somebody present and thing. But I always say that I could fall for the talk and I could fall for the look and them kind of things, because I think it's an important part, especially the higher up you go in leadership. I think it's more important that your presence felt and that you're seen. And again, I learned my lesson myself, and over the last 2 weeks, having gone back out to work and being there myself, dealing with little issues, meeting with people, seeing them, understanding where the issues are, things starting to change much faster than I was when I was home. So maybe McDonald Jacob working from home, and we should get him to go back to work from the office. Your office is on the streets where all these crimes happen. Wherever the hotspot is, that should be your office, and you should go out. But we will continue to monitor that story, because whoever this person is that is saying do this, I guarantee you he's gonna get caught if he don't surrender. I even saw an article come out after saying that he was ready to surrender. Is in the Express. This is by Ria Ramdas, 25th of April, right? It says, I want to surrender, but reluctant to surrender to cops. So the Express saying the man who is suspected of shooting PC Clarence Gilles to death at Rich Plain Road, Diego Martin, is prepared to surrender himself to police. But at the same time, the 29-year-old suspect is fearful of being brutalized by officers and slapped to that charge for an offense he said he did not commit. Until a proper and thorough autopsy is carried out on the body and the findings handed over to the PCA, Jelano Romney said he will remain hesitant of handing himself over to detectives. This man's name is out there. What the hell is going on here? I thought, wait. Something wrong in this country, you know. So many weeks I come here and read articles where, remember last week I was trying to, last time I recorded, I was talking about this father who, well, the person who we suspected at the time was the father who beat his child and the child ended up dying. And now he's out on bail, so that will take its course. But I was reading that and I read a whole bunch of articles trying to figure out if the person is the father. And I was saying that I guess before you lay charges, you can't identify who the person is and all these things. So this is where we had the suspicion that a very close relative might be the father. And only after he was charged, they came out and said that was the father and they gave his name, his pictures in the papers and all that. So I'm not sure exactly how this man, Jelano Romney, name ended up in the paper. Unless I suppose he must tell them it's okay to do that. But reading on, they say a voice recording surfaced on social media yesterday in which Romney reached out to his attorney, Kristen J. Williams, expressing his concern over the situation. Contacted yesterday, Williams confirmed the voice on the recording was that of his client. The attorney also confirmed Romney will gladly give himself up to clear his name. But on the contrary, we also know the system we have here. In the recording, he gave an account of what he said had actually transpired in the minutes and seconds leading up to Jilks being shot last Friday. Romney claimed that he was not the shooter as is being claimed by officers, but was instead shot at by officers when one of their own bullets struck Jilks in the neck. Jilks later died at the St. James Hospital. This is his recount, right? His Romney recount of the events. He said on April 22nd, I just left my 2 kids with my cousin-in-law. I came down the hill, and while coming down the hill, I was going by the shop to buy something to cook. It was around after 1 or 2 o'clock. While doing so, I ran into 4 police officers. The first officer approached me. He was about 3 feet away from me. He said, "Hey, don't move." And as he said, "Don't move," I put my hand in the air one time. I said, "Boss, don't shoot. I don't have nothing." In those same exact words, "Boss, don't shoot. I don't have nothing." He said, "Hush your mouth. Don't move." And as he said that, the colleague to his left, who was coming up the stairs, started shooting without hesitation. He just started shooting. At this point, Romney said the first officer who approached him also began shooting along with a WPC who was standing behind her colleagues. He said it was only after Jilks was shot that the officer who first began firing dropped his firearm. His colleague turned and said, "Hey, you hit me." This is the last thing I heard. "Hey, you hit me." After I started running, I realized this was my little escape here because they're trying to kill me for no reason. When I look back, the same police officer who began shooting, he is picking up shells while the other officer is checking on the colleague. I ran for my life knowing they're trying to kill me for so long, Romney stated. So residents also saying that a cop shot by one of his own. Romney said he believed that he was targeted by the officers since he filed a lawsuit against the state for wrongful arrest some time ago, in which officers of the Western Division, where Jilks was last stationed, were involved. The lawsuit was to come up for hearing on May the 5th. Jesus Christ. Since the incident, residents in the area also maintain that Jilks was shot by one of his own. ACP McDonald Jacob, however, has rubbished those claims. At that time, he said the claim of friendly fire by the residents was hogwash. Why would you say this as a police commissioner? Before any investigation is done or anything? This is normal. It's just me alarmed by this because I find it worrying that a police officer pronouncing guilt like this. Is this what it's supposed? I guess if they're arresting you for something, they're making an accusation. But I don't know, boy. This ain't song and writing. At the time, the officers were responding to a report of several men in the area being seen with high-powered rifles. This Jacobs again, right? He said that is a lot of hogwash in relation to the circumstances in which the incident happened. Our investigators will look at all angles, but the officers who were present had given how everything had occurred, and it's amazing to know other persons were present. The acting commissioner went on to add that the police service was looking forward to those residents who claimed to have witnessed what had taken place to give statements to the Homicide Bureau, because sitting some distance away and making statements where something occurred within a secluded area on the steps heading up to the hills, it is amazing it would be seen. And now want to talk about friendly fire. Our officer was shot in the neck from the front, and we're talking about friendly fire. This is what we're talking about. So, this is one to keep an eye on. You want me to make a prediction? I don't think Romney gonna make it in alive. I think 80 police officers not going there and arrest Romney. Boy, listen. This country is something else. When I read things like this, I just be scared. I just hope to God, not nobody who I know, especially who innocent and living about a normal life, don't cross paths with nobody and end up in these kind of situations. I'm not saying that Jelano Romney didn't have issues or he living a life above board. I don't know nothing about him. But to have a situation where you sue the state and have a May 5th is next week, yeah? To have a case coming up and all of a sudden you're embroiled in a situation where there's a manhunt for you for killing a police officer or police approaching you and shots firing either by you or the police or whatever. I find that real worrying. This is very, very worrying. So this one to keep an eye on. But boy, I hope this man and his lawyer know what they're doing, because before this article, I didn't hear his name called anywhere. And I think the police, because of the same things, might have deliberately not called his name. But he clearly has identified himself. And he's saying that he wants to come forward. And McDonald Jacob's response is, he could come forward whenever he wants. They have mechanisms for that and anytime he's ready. But I would love to see his lawyers take him in safely with some security and take him into the police station and observe what's happening, because 80 police officers plus members of the defense force staff, he was not going to get brought in if they had fined him. He do good to escape all them men too, boy, but they wasn't going to bring him in. We know what this is, right? But anyway, I really come here to talk about Kitchener. This thing done saw my spirit. But there's a song by Kitchener that I like a lot that had to do with murder. It's nothing Kitchener never sing about it. So this song was about a murder in Port of Spain. And I want to read from you a very old article from True Crime Library. And I'll tell you what this song is about. It say a bizarre religious group was the center of degraded sex and murder in a suburb of Port of Spain capital Trinidad. Run by Black Power activist Michael De Freitas, calling himself Michael X, and his assistant Stanley Abbott. It was also home to Gail Benson, 27, daughter of an English Tory MP. On January 2nd, 1972, X decided Gail must die. Abbott and another man attacked her, threw her seriously injured into a pit, and buried her alive. Let me try reading that again, right? Abbott and another man attacked her, threw her seriously injured into a pit, and buried her alive. 2 more people were later murdered on X's instructions before the police moved in. They arrested Abbott for being involved in the murder of Gail Benson, and he finally hanged on Friday, April 27, 1979 at Port of Spain prison. Michael X had been hanged in the same prison in May 1975. So this Stanley Abbott and Michael X being hanged in 75 for Michael X and 79 for Stanley Abbott. And this is due to this situation. I was just looking at this as a backstory behind the song. So if you want to find out more information about this song, just Google Stanley Abbott. But look how close this thing is in terms of what was happening in Stanley Abbott time. This is how much years ago is 1979. And Kitchener have this thing documented, taking this.
Gardens, Arima. 6 men planning to commit a brutal murder. Well, you know, according to plan, they brutally kill an English woman. Now the gallows is imminent, everybody bawling the innocence.
Stanley Abbott, how come now you're bawling for murder? Bawling for murder, screaming all over. Stanley Abbott, how come now you're bawling for murder? Bawling for murder. All over.
Stanley, this is not the time to be sorry. Don't be a baby, face the penalty.
You see, everybody say you are guilty. That's why the jury show you no mercy.
As expected, farmers are a vital person.
Yes.
Illustrated exactly what really happened. He said, your worship without a doubt. Stanley Abbott covered the woman's mouth. She got the first shot from Chicago, and Stephen Yates hammered the fatal blow.
Stanley Abbott, how come now you're falling for murder? Falling for murder, screaming all over. Stanley Abbott, how come now you're falling for murder? Falling for murder, screaming all over.
Stanley, this is not the time to be sorry. Don't be a baby, face the penalty.
You see, everybody say you are guilty. That's why the jury show you no mercy.
I like the message in his song, you know. So if my boy know he do the thing and he turn himself in, face the penalty, man. Don't be a baby like Kitchener say. But boy, listen, all the officers if all they are wrongdoing and foul play involved. Let's just see how it goes. Maybe he'll turn himself in and everything will be fine and evidence will be presented. Or maybe the commissioner of police should wait on evidence to be presented before he just rubbish people claims as hogwash and this and that. I just find that to be so strange. But anyway, moving on to more things I feel. Rowley say he ain't spying on nobody. Kamala said they're spying on. She have a list of people who they're spying on. Some of them is your own people. Faris was one. The commissioner of police once removed. Gary Griffith was one. Everybody spying on everybody. Rowley say is Gary buy the software to spy on people and he buy it unauthorized. Gary say he couldn't buy nothing unauthorized and everybody know about it. And he had text message on his phone from somebody who not old by the name of Stuart Young. I assuming who could confirm that he was back and forth with them about his software. Rowley say it's not no Pegasus he have, but he didn't say he had no spyware. You know, he just says it's not Pegasus. So suppose it's some other kind of thing he must get. It must be the Phoenix. He must hear that. But whatever it is, that's spyware. I just want to say, a matter of fact, I shouldn't talk too loud. Let me talk soft because I don't want no problems. So just in case it's any spy, I just want to say I don't believe none of these people. And it's always that spy thing. And they spy on each other long time. And they spy in the opposition. And they fully well damn know they spy on their own people. And they spy in the media. They say Daily Knock can't spy. This is known. Everybody, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to get too excited. Everybody can spy on. So what you are saying on your phone, they're spying on WhatsApp too. Because they used to say that encrypted. But Pegasus has checked that too. So everybody can spy. And that's how Gary get fired. Because they hear he was coming to the Prime Minister work. And this is what we do as a public. Since the blimp they're talking about is spying on people, but who deny now that we spy on, we don't spy on citizens, and if you don't commit no crime, you don't have to worry about. But you could suspect anybody of committing a crime. If the commissioner of police could say before anything presented or whatever, hogwash, then I could spy on anybody. All I had to do is say, I suspect the leader of the opposition of being this, that, and the and I spying on them now to find out who they're signing up for which seat, and I could, or whatever other activities they involved in. Me saying nobody innocent, guilty, or otherwise. I'm just saying that it should be a clear process. Transparency solve a lot of these problems. I think as a society where we have 58 by 69 by 52 people getting killed, I think law enforcement will need some spying, and you know what I mean, to see how much we could prevent crime, especially the finality of murder. But it gotta be transparent. It can't be that the Prime Minister saying he didn't think and this man didn't get approved and he went and buy it and then the commissioner saying, well, they tell me spy on this one, I tell them no, me spy on them, and then they try to get some kind of entry level police constable they thing and he want to spy. I don't know, boy. We dealing with grown ups or his kids or what's the situation? We have some leaders in this country. It's starting to make you wonder. Like, what is we really here for? What is really going through? Where is the progress? We have a undiversified economy, a heritage and stabilization fund that being depleted to keep us afloat and to keep subsidies, which I don't think we should have at all, in place. So gas price rising, groceries rising every day. We dealing with this COVID thing, man, now trying to make back income. All who are deferred mortgage and deferred loan payments and things. have a little extra interest charge to pay every month while income static at best and going down. You know what I mean? But he's like, you're spying on me, and I know he's spying, and I think he's watching, and I think he my curtain, and that was no substance. And I don't know. This is the people who in charge. These are the people who want to present themselves as the next leaders who are going to take us out of this morass and set us on the path for fast development, as not just an economic development, but development as a people. You know what I mean? These are the people who we have in charge. And I hear the other man who present. Well, I am from Gary yet. I can't wait. Because he gonna sort of, one thing we sure about Gary will get entertainment. He gonna sort of fight wild. I'm surprised he didn't because he don't trust. I suspect that he don't trust the media so much. So he's doing his own thing on Facebook. I always feel that those things stand to benefit here because the younger voters disenchanted. Remember my discussion about the uninterested voter? I think a lot of young people are uninterested. But what you do find is when you use the direct to youth means of things like social media, not so much Facebook with younger people, but you release your thing on Instagram and you make a little thing. If you say something funny, controversial, whatever it is, MYOB, and then people will post it and you will get traction among younger people. So I think Gary, so far, I like the strategy, little digital marketing, I have a course on digital marketing going on now. But Watson Duke was on Slam on Monday morning with Blaze and Miles. By now, I guess that's all you think as on a morning, right? Is either Blaze and Miles or JW and no, Dale and Tony. Which I start by listening to Dale and Tony. I just want to say for a minute, right, that these fellas is two spectacular fellas. Give these fellas the order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago too, because I don't know what has happened with Blaze and them a morning, and I switch over and started listening to Dale and Tony, which I used to listen to all the time back in the day, every day. And it's amazing to hear after so many years. I started listening to them men before I went in UE, so that must be late 90s. And 20-something, that time they was done on the radio, 20 years already, it looked like. And now 20-something years later, these men just as entertaining and informative as they were before. Like, just the interaction between them. How two of them is one to, like, the song and like they're fighting. Daily song like he can't stand Tony, but somehow the chemistry and the energy on that show is amazing. Salute to them, right? But Watson Duke calling on Slam, and they had a little interview with him. Zachary was in the car on the way to school, so I was trying to explain to him who is Watson Duke and his People's Democratic, what is his party, People's Democratic position, or whatever he's called it, right? And he said he and his Spartans and things, so he talking to Blaze and them, and he have a way he could appeal to people. I like the questions that Blaze and they ask him, right? One of the questions that was real good. Blaze a real good interview, Blaze asked him, I see you come here and you're setting up your presence in Trinidad and your custom running in Tobago, but why Barataria? Why you start there? And Watson Duke's response was, if you read any book about war, Sun Tzu and these people who tell you about things, they say, yeah, when you're attacking your enemy, look for your weak spots. He said, but he using the opposite strategy. He going in his strong points and he looking at the strongholds, like places like Mova and Laventil that the PNM has neglected. When you listen to when Watson talk, you have to listen. He could talk. That's the first prerequisite to becoming a politician. And you have to be able to talk. You have to be able to sell it. So he talking about, to be neglected and all this for the longest while, and he needs to have a people who is from the people and by the people and of the people, and he's a part of youth and them kind of thing. And he's saying clearly what I had suspected all the time. He targeting the young voter, this disenchanted voter who not interested in the process. That is an issue for the two parties who say down there. He say, Blaze say, boy, what you gonna do? You're gonna become a national party? Because he say yes, he have a national mandate. He going after every election in every constituency, but he's starting with the strongest first. And he say, who knows? The next office I open might be in Pinal Debe. I'm interested to see that. And as he say that, the man say, Kamala and Rowley is 70. They have a combined age of about 150. What they need to be focusing on is being the best grandparents that they could be with the little time they have left. He talking the part, And I mean, this is a part of the issue with the leadership in this country. It's just that these men are 70-something. All the Rowleys are real good 70-something. Because Rowley went on the beach the other day. I go and start a bathe in Jersey. I'm being honest. After I see Rowley on the beach at 70-something years old, bareback, I've been in Jersey from now on. But you're right, this is part of the reason why the youth's disenchanted with the process, because having a 70-year-old man and woman try to relate to the issues of a young voter is the equivalent to me trying to understand all these things Zachary this week telling me about skins in Fortnite, and it has skins and you have to build and all this kind of thing, and Roblox. I don't know nothing. I cannot understand. I cannot relate. When he talking, I just have to listen and hope to God he finish at some point. You know what I mean? But Watson starts off in Barataria and he attacking them down there. So it will be interesting to see how we continue. But the best question Blaze asked him, which I think is what everybody thinking about, particularly the undecided voter, right? The undecided voter who may want to listen or who is likely to listen to all who present themselves to be voted for. Everybody who go into the polls, the undecided voter, will try to get as much information as possible. And maybe give everybody a fair hearing, because we could agree that while the youths are the uninterested voters and we might be the undecided, both groups fed up of the incumbents being both the UNC and the PNM. We're fed up of the people in the PNM and the UNC and the parties themselves. So we're willing to listen to somebody else. We tried to listen to Philip, but oh God, Philip had to pull a gun for man who had dog rang Savannah and jump on my car and them kind of thing. He's a hard man to listen to, and although he has some good points sometimes, but I wouldn't, as much as I find he has some good points and he presenting a different option, I wouldn't like to live in Trinidad and Tobago where Philip is the prime minister. I think he's a little erratic, you know. I mean, we need somebody who knows to relax. But Watson presenting himself and he going and come with ideas and this and that. The undecided might well be listening to hear what he have to say. But one of the key questions on the mind of the undecided, which Blaze was able to ask and tap into, was, what's the plan? Is it that you're planning to join up with other political parties if you win some seats? You know what I mean? What's your plan? It was a great question. And he basically said that, listen, you can't go, his exact analogy was like, you could have how expensive a door you want. Listen carefully here. You could have a door, it could be how expensive. He says some little hinge. So important for that door to be functional. So that's why he almost said like he's seeing himself as a hinge. It don't have no value. It could be how pretty, it could be how expensive, how well made, how secure. It has no value if it don't have proper hinges. So you say whether you get 1 seat, 2 seat. Well, he done a 2, right? Let me call that as in the bag, right? He going and win them Tobago 2 seat. And remember, elections in this country is 41-39. What it is again? Whatever it is win by 1 seat and 2 seats. It's not a lot. So when you have 2 seats, you already have a hinge. And you say if I win 1, 2 seat or whatever, I end up with 14 seats. You need the hinge to be able to govern. So you say, I not taking my hinge to go and join up with no party. They have to come and join up with me. So that he in charge with his hinge seats. Only that ain't going to happen, right? Because we are, as I always say, PNM don't really like to line up with nobody. UNC always open to alliance, or historically they've been open to alliances. But UNC not making no alliance with Watson and putting him as prime minister. That not go happen. So when they had to win. No, it's true, because Prakash Ramada was now saying if they had make it prime minister, I forget it was Kamala. I know what's going on in my mind. It's from the drop into school, you know. So there's no chance of Kamala running back for our next election and putting Watson Duke. Neither of them wouldn't do it. So it'll be interesting to see. And he done have 2 seats in the bag. I think he have a decent little hinge right there already. You know what I mean? So it could be interesting to see where he go with it. But I just listened to the answer carefully, as I'm sure you did, or you're listening now. That is interesting to hear. Pretty much what we all thought the strategy would be, right? Now, going to another leader in this country, somebody who I like a lot by the name of Charles Gordon. Or is Gordon Charles? Get this man name right. I'm a friend from the County Council. The Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago. Or the Catholic. What do you call him? The Pope. Let me read this so I don't mix up this thing. Richard Khan from The Guardian. This is Archbishop Jason Gordon. Is where I get Charles from. He said there's a problem with leadership in TNT. Oh, the article says there's a problem with leadership in TNT according to Archbishop Jason Gordon. They don't serve. In his address to the congregation at the traditional washing of the feet ceremony on Holy Thursday, you see how long I was supposed to record? I had this article saved there since then on Holy Thursday, I feel like 10 years ago. Gordon pointed out the shortcomings of leadership locally. He said, if it's something that's gone wrong with us in Trinidad and Tobago, it's here in leadership. We don't see our leaders. We don't see ourselves when we are leaders as people who serve. We see ourselves as people who have everybody else wanting to lord it over everybody else. Brothers and sisters, it's creating a challenge in society. He added, somehow when we get a little elevation, everybody who was with us before, them have to feel the full wrath of the rod and we mouth. True or not true? I like this man, you know. I feel like I started to go to church. I want to go with Jason Gordon talking. Because he's the best orator the country have right now. Maybe after what's new. I like how he's talking. He's talking like a Trinity too. Maybe that's what make me like him even more. This, he said, was even witnessed within the household dynamic where some children were treated badly. How often have parents treated children badly, talked down at them, belittle them in public, make them feel like less than? A scent of shaved ice in the sun. You need to update your analogies. The man said a scent of shaved ice in the sun is how we treat the children. Then he said we go on to perpetuate the misguided views of leader. Then he said, who write this article? I swear it is not my reading, right? They say, then he said, goes on to perpetuate the misguided views of leadership in the country. If the first experience that children have is that people who are big make you feel small when they grow up big, what they're going to do? Make other people feel small. It's only small people that make people feel small. I like what this man is talking. Salute Jason Gordon. He said that's what the country needs to take an example from Jesus' washing of his disciples' feet as a reminder of the importance of serving others. If we understand what Jesus does when he washes feet, what he's doing is talking about leadership and saying that the leader is not the one who lords. Now, this is not me. Lord, I think, supposed to be spelled L-A-U-D. But he say who lord it like Lord Jesus. Who lord it over others. The leader is the one who serves everybody else. He said everyone needs to ask themselves the question, why do I need to serve and how do I serve? Who do I need to serve and how do I serve them better? I find this was such a great article as well by Richard Khan for picking up that. And I was talking to my partner one. And it's the first time I ever heard the word Tridium before. I grew up in all kind of church. I was Catholic in church. I was Anglican church. I was wherever Unity was. I went everywhere. Ebenezer. Every church it had. I was in Catholic school from Newton Boys all the way through to Fatima. And I repeat a few times too, so I was in Catholic system for a long time. And I never heard about Tridium, which apparently is the Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Glorious Saturday. And he's supposed to go to church all them 3 days and the Holy Thursday, or it's Palm Sunday. Something named Tridium, right? But the washing of the feet is one. And I'll be honest with you, right? I don't like that. Right? I don't like that. I will never, I'm not doing that. I don't like it. Not washing somebody's foot, right? I suppose if I was on the given end of it, because I understand the symbolism of the priest coming and wash your foot. So if I had to wash your foot, I would do it. But I don't want no priest washing my. I don't like the feeling of that. Every time I study that, I feel like Father Gregory coming to wash my foot. I don't like it. I don't even like to do manicure and pedicure. I was telling Stacey this yesterday because I like when my foot not ashy because you know, the back of my heel hard like rock stone. Like if it born on the road. Stacey's talking about that all the time. When I pull a sheet and I slide my foot on the bed, you see it's bad enough. But I don't like this thing where you have to sit down and a woman down there washing your foot and scrubbing your foot. Something about that don't feel right to me, boy. I guess it's a subservient thing. And I know it's honest, good work and all these kind of things. And other things that I don't want to do and all these things. But I don't like the pedicure thing. That is bother me. But I think the message behind this and the symbolism of the priest washing the feet of the congregation is an important thing, and maybe that's why the tradition is important to carry on. I think he's so right because when the whole episode, when you think of it, a bunch of it is about leadership. Is Watson Duke, is Rowley and Kamler, is Gary Griffith, is McDonald Jacob, the people who are in charge, the leaders of the organization, the people who we turn into to give us guidance as to how we coming out of this morass. And one of the things that Watson Duke said on this interview this morning is that they fail in the people. I find it was such a powerful statement. He said the people who in charge here, the PNM and UNC he talking about, the 70-year-olds, he said they fail in the population, giving you no option. You know what I mean? You ain't seeing no kind of progress. You ain't seeing no betterment. Many communities that we see, they looking the same. The problems are the same. You hear the same recurring thing. And then when people turn to crime as a viable option, we blame them and say they're wicked and bad and they must be condemned and we must stand about them, and you know what I mean? It's such a profound statement, and I believe in what Jason Gordon's saying here. A part of the problem is that we as leaders don't see ourselves as servants. I put myself in the same bracket too, you know. And he writes, I'd never thought of it that way, but a part of our upbringing is that when you're big, you're in charge, and when you're big, you belittle, and when you're big, you know what I mean? Or some others last week, when you're big, you beat. When you're big, you know what I mean? You in control. We tell children that all the time. If you want to make you, say, come out of this house. I'm the only man in this house. If you want to play a woman in this house, we talk about that all the time. So we creating the impression by example that this is how you act when you're in a position of power. And this is how you act when you have somebody who is a report to you or has less power than you in any situation. We teach it in the home, we teach it in the business, because I always remember my old man telling me he used to work in a place and the man had a carving on his desk. It's carved out of stone, and the thing had said the answer is no. He had that rest down on the desk for when you're going into this man's office. So you know, and we, even the artifacts, the way we set up our offices, they designed, I would say, almost to intimidate. I remember as a young person joining the workforce for the first time. It's such an intimidating thing when you go in somebody's office like a senior person. And the more senior they are, it's like the bigger the desk is, and they're sitting down on a height, and you feel like you're looking up at these people. I've done them a big clothes I borrow from Barney or my father or somebody, and you just feel like subservient. And we want to go as far back as slavery and indentureship and so on, and why we might perpetuate these feelings. But it's a thing. Check it with yourself, right? Check it with yourself. I check in with myself as a leader as well. How you leading your household? How you leading your community groups and the things you're involved in, your football side? Every time a man make a mistake, it's to get cussed. That's what he's doing. He's doing that in football all the time. Or do we uplift? You know what I mean? Do we build people to be leaders because we're not going to be here forever? Or do we Ken God in this situation and work till we're 95 and do just be there forever and keep reigns regardless, so that we there long enough, as long as possible, so that when you personally close your eye, the person closest to you, your children and so on, they set for life at the expense of everybody else. How do we go about this thing called leadership? Do we belittle? You know what I mean? It's such a power. I don't like the thing with it. I come and wash my foot, but I like the symbolism of what is he talking about here. I like this man. This is going to turn into a church podcast, because our cousin, Marlon, he sent me a video on a guy talking about Will and Jada, a priest, a pastor, whoever he is. And listen, it's one of the best takes I hear, because I listen to a lot of podcasts about it. I make my own podcast about it and get my kicks on things, but there was no better breakdown of that Will and Jada situation than that pastor. I feel like something heading down a road and all. Let's go start him and sing some hymn in here and replace all this other calypso soon. But I just found that for him to come out and say this, you sometimes wonder if we as leaders listen to messages like these. And I don't want to listen to the message and deflect to Rowley or Camley. I like that. To deflect to any of them. I want to use it to look at myself. And I hope that they take messages like these and use it to look at themselves too, to try to say, okay, how can I lead and serve? I like the word he used. How can I serve people? When I put myself in a position of leadership, I put myself in a position of service. And the higher up you go in leadership, the more you should seek to serve. And I feel that will only create more people who coming out here to serve. So if I want to see my country be a better place, I had to serve the communities that I belong to. I had to serve the people who are around me. I had to serve complete strangers. We can't just wind up with glass and turn up with music and act like none of the rest of the society do exist, or make as much money as we could make by whether it's legal, illegal, by ill-gotten means, by cheating out others out of things, and then take that money now, build up high walls in gated communities with very expensive dogs, and get fuel and get as fenced in and secure as you could, and just let this society go into degradation, when we in fact are the leaders in the church, the leaders in the business, the leaders in the police force, the leaders in the politics. It's such an important thing. And this is where maybe I ain't going to church. What I need is a transcript of everything Jason Gordon say on a weekly basis. Or the Catholic Church, anybody can provide that for me. I want that, and I want the transcript just in the same language how he just talk. Yeah, he like to say, "Ole hear me or talking nonsense, or tell me." You know, I like how he's talk, and it's such a profound thing that he was saying here about so close to what we were talking about last week as well in terms of how we raise children, how do we teach them to lead, because I always find that as a leader, if you're not creating leaders, you're going to have a problem. You're going to end up living in a society that you don't like, where the numbers is 58 and 69 and 652 the next month, and people could just pronounce people guilty and running on them. And the brightest minds in the country with the biggest portfolios who lead in the two biggest parties that people turn into for salvation. It will come down to, expand me and watch you and I think who's watching me and only on my WhatsApp and I have to go burn a phone. And this is the conversation we having at the highest levels of the country. While they have no plan for what happens when school reopen. They have no plan for what happens if we have an outbreak of COVID in the schools. It's, the fundamental things, murder again on our side. You see in videos more and more now, people just snatching bag of a woman. I see one in St. James so close to where my mother lives, and a woman bag snatch, fall down on the ground. And they just reverse and drive around, and there's just a whole complete lack of humanity and civilization. What we going to do? We just go and let the whole thing fall apart so that we could be fine and our generations coming after us could be fine, and whatever happens to other people, to hell with them, because we living up in the hills, down in the valleys, in gated communities, you know what I mean, behind these fences. So just one of them things. But anyway, I want to talk about one more thing before I go on. That was that interview with Oprah. And, you know, I really should say as well that having so much love for Jason Gordon and what he do, I vexed with these two men who went and mashed up the church in Belmont. I really didn't like that, you know. I don't know why. And you know what made the thing worse? I see the two fellas, they're saying that they dress up in garb of another religion. Some people say it was Baptist garb. Some people say it was Rastafari. You know what I mean? So they dress up in these things, and it wasn't a good look, right? Especially when they reach in the police station and you're seeing now one of them on a complete rant. Like he not all the way together. And they say that one of them was charged and they carry him directly to St. Anne's, because he clearly has some mental problems. They was trying to get the man name out of him and thing and that and all. Like he couldn't. He say some things. They Ali. He just rambling. But what I find was real disappointing about the situation is that when I hear about it, I'd say, well, it sounds like Bundong Rome, you know what I mean? But you know, sometimes you had a Bundong Rome when you're a restaurant thing. You have to keep it in mind that you had a Bundong Rome. But when the police and them find him, and you know everything is videos these days. When the police and them find my boy, they ask him, what is your name? You're required to give your name. You know that man say, Anthony? I look at the some kind of Rasta name, some kind of the strongest African. The man name, and he's like, Tony, you need him change your name, Anthony. Come on, son. Only the Catholic Church alone now. We're stressing out Jason Gordon. We need more talks like these, right? But before I get out here, the book I want to buy is from Viola Davis. You see that interview with Oprah and Viola Davis? That is definitely must-see TV. I don't want to talk too much about what happened in it because I want you to feel what I felt when she was talking about her past and where she come from and so on. I feel like Viola Davis is one of the most underrated actors or actresses or whatever you want to call it in a long time. The name of the book is Finding Me, a memoir. So she talks about her whole life and where she came from and so on. And listen, some of it is shocking to see where the woman started and where she ended up easily as one of the best. They say she's the most decorated black woman in the Oscars, it is, or in the Academy Awards. And I feel it's had to be more than that, because when you have the conversation about the greatest actors, I don't ever hear her name coming up. You hear Denzel and Tom Hanks and a few others names calling. But you don't hear her name calling like that. And I think it's time we start to recognize it, because How to Get Away with Murder, her performances and that was crazy. Things like Fences, things like The Help. It's amazing what she went through. And I mean, even getting to one of the top performing arts schools like Juilliard's would be an amazing accomplishment for somebody who went through these things that she went through. So I want to make sure they're taking that, and I'm definitely going to buy that book. And as I read that book, I will talk more and more about it. So I don't want to be a spoiler where you take it in first. And if you buy the book and you check it out, I'm an audiobook kind of guy, right? So seeing that I have long journeys on the way to and from South every day, I'm going to take in that book and talk more about it, because she's a hero to me. I always like her as an actress or actor, whatever you're supposed to say. But boy, listen, that book that book gonna be something else. When you hear about her story, you gotta trust me on this one and just take it in, and you'll see why I say it when I say it. Some other books that and the reason I'm eager to read that is because of some other books that I'd enjoyed too, like Kevin Hart's book, Tiffany Haddish in particular, Trevor Noah. When you hear about some of these struggles people went through in their younger lives and what they were able to accomplish, sometimes it seems impossible, boy. And even for us, sometimes you're going through something and you want to accomplish something and it's feeling like it's impossible. But these stories tend to inspire me a lot. So I'm going to take in that and I'll lay in how it went. Now, of course, we can't leave before we play our next little kitchen, all right? We had to end with that. We had to end with that kitchen. So I'm watching Trinidad Killer and this performance. As I say in the beginning of the episode, I cannot play or say nothing about Trinidad Madman performance in Guyana, except to say that he was having a meal on stage. He was having a meal. This was very distasteful. Listen, when people vex with younger artists and things, and this road they're going down with zest and them kind of thing, you can't vex with them, because the lyrics done crude and crass and thing. And my appeal to people is always to artists reflecting what they see, right? Artist is a reflection of the environment, basically. Any artist. So I don't wrong people for the gun lyrics, the violence, everything. I don't believe people should be censored. I don't like to cuss here because we're very cognizant of the fact that my mother listening, as I say in the beginning of the episode, I have plenty family who's listening thing, and I don't want it to be that kind of show, to be honest. I want somebody when they're driving and listening in the car, the children could be there and they could listen. So salute my boy Colin Bartholomew, who's the time he's listening with his family. I like that. I like when you're not worry about the cussing and them kind of thing. Although if you come by me, you go hear a different story. At least on the podcast, you can go hear no sort of cussing, right? And yeah, but I don't believe in censorship. I think people should be able to sing whatever or do whatever they feel. But the Trinidad Madman, let me just say he went a little far in Guyana. And then this new release of the song, you just Google like Trinidad Madman new song and you listen to it for yourself, right? I ain't playing it. And if you know your ears can't handle that, don't bother with it, because the song not good. I just laugh at listen, I just laugh at anything. But I mean, I ain't vexed with the song or nothing, but it was just distasteful. I really actually thought, I tell you, is one Taramera kind of rhythm it going with, right? I thought he was going to make it a kind of double entendre with what happened when he went in the bathroom and he find the woman and thing. But boy, listen, the thing have no cleverness. When I in shock about something, you had to know what it is. And I was like, dude, listen. You ain't even put a little thought into it. Like, what they're singing in this music. It didn't even have vibe. Like, Young Brother is not the cleverest lyrics, but I like it because he have a vibe with it. You know what I mean? It's like a rocking chair and rocking there. You see, he have a little vibe with the music. At least it's bouncy and thing. But Trinidad man had no tact, no kind of taste, no cleverness in the lyrics. So, what is youths doing now? I always talk about this. I have a partner on Facebook who's talking about these youths, and I don't condemn youth. Youth is always the answer to me. And I'm thinking that man looking like in my age too. I see youth, but you're doing youthful things, you know what I mean? But I find like the things like smut and violence and things have been in music ever since we listen to very violent music and very smutty music coming up. But I will admit that because of society's norms, we tend to find that younger people always push the boundaries of society, which is good. And this is why Jason Gordon's so important, what he's saying in terms of leadership, to serve, because we're not here as leaders to tell people what to do. We're here to help them navigate these streets. I kind of see my role in Zachary's life as helping him navigate this place in my absence. I know me ain't here forever. I hope to God I'll leave him here. But I try to help him navigate his space. So I try my best not to come across in a condescending way, like I know everything and he don't know nothing, and I just try my best to listen to him, and I'm not perfect, I'm not even good at it, I just trying to figure this out and so on. So when you listen to these youths and what the way they sing and so on, you go back to the older days and see the kind of smuttiness them men used to sing to. You know how to go and find a little piece of smut from Lord Kitchener to leave you with. I say all that to say that I find a piece of smut from Lord Kitchener. It's a little rougher, but it's a little more clever still. It's a little more cleverness to it. And I like it. And it's one that I'm not sure that plenty people would have heard this one before. So the name of this song is Elsie's River. You tell me if all you know it, right? And listen good. Yes.
I went to bathe in a river. Miss Elsie was the caretaker. I went to bathe in a river.
Oh gosh.
Miss Elsie was the caretaker. I pay me money to Elsie.
Yes.
For good bathing facility. But friend as took me dive in the corner. Deep water near drunk kitchen.
Yes.
I said to Elsie, it's danger. Your river too deep for kitchen. Believe I'm not comfortable. The water is passing me label. You have me frightened, you should know. Darling, I thought your river was shallow. But friend, if you see the thing like the blue sea, that river could swallow Germany. I turned and said to Miss Elsie, your river not sanitary. Too many young fellas bathe here. Have the place like a thoroughfare. And the grass that grow around the basin, it is dangerous to any person. I stood on the grass to jump in the water. Two blue crab may eat out me finger.
Yes.
So I am giving you a reminder. Don't bathe in Miss Elsie River. The price is too heavy, and the water isn't sanitary. If you try to swim round the corner, you may get bitten by a lobster. Boys, Miss Elsie is stealing $10 1 minute bathing. And I know Elsie. And I know Elsie. I don't believe you,
You know, I was somebody go through all Kitchener song, right? And add up for me how much name Kitchener call woman over the years. It's most among the woman name. You had to think that when they say names, right? It's the names of the era. I was watching a video going wrong with Kitchener talking about London is the place for me. London, let me see. Whatever the song just go, right? And remember that when them videos taken, the Kitchener is 19 years old, and them thinking, I think he went to England in his early 20s. So when he's singing songs, he had to be calling the names of the days, not to say when he say any Elsie now. It sounds like an old woman, but it's the songs of the day. And when you have smut and thing, and you could put it together like this. Here, this next piece of smut here. Yes.
I thought I saw my pussycat crossing Charlotte Street.
What?
I couldn't swear whether it was the right pussy I meet.
What?
But just as I was making sure, up came a young lady. Mister, what you looking for? That pussy belong to me.
What is it?
It's my pussy, she said. It's my pussy, she said. It's my pussy, it's my pussy. I see her, mine her, raise her from small. Man, take off your hand from she, don't touch me pussy at all. said you sound intelligent, but I wouldn't fall for that. You must show me some evidence to prove this is your cat. So useless, you keep telling me that she belongs to you.
Madam, you must understand, my pussy is missing too.
It's my pussy, it's my pussy. She said, it's my pussy, it's my pussy. I feed her, mind her, raise her from small. Man, take off your hand from she, don't touch me pussy at all.
Yes?
She dipped into her leather bag and brought something to show. She did in fact obtain this cap 11 months ago. So if you are dissatisfied and need more proof of me, Mr. I could take you home and show you the pedigree. It's my pussy, it's my pussy. She said, it's my pussy, it's my pussy. I feed her, mind her, raise her from small. Man, take off your hand from she.
Don't touch me pussy at all. Hey, I go talk to you next week, you know. Have a good week and be servant leaders.